Here we are underneath the beautiful Sakura Japanese cherry blossom with another Japanese beauty, the Mazda 3. In this case, the Sport Edition with a fairly high-powered turbocharged engine. Looks like a lot of fun. Get in. It's time for Family Wheels. I'm not in love with the Mazda 3 like I might have been some years ago. Its styling has endured, the sport hatchback here, and the sedan still looking classy in that Mazda way. But in the case of our review car, that styling literally gets in the way. More about that shortly. Like other Mazdas, it's a product of precision, from the panel gaps in the body to the crafting of the interior to the punchy engine that can run on regular gas. But its fun-to-drive nature has recently been matched or bettered by some of its rivals, and I'm ready for an all-new Mazda 3. That said, on with the drive. This car got quite a bit of attention in 2019 when it came out, particularly this, the hatchback sport version with the swoopy lines down the rear quarter. However, they interfere with rear quarter visibility, and that is definitely a negative. Rear window visibility, I've seen that criticized, but seems fine to me. In familiar Mazda nomenclature, we have three trims available, GS, GX, and at the top of the range here, the GT. Now at this level, we've got a four-cylinder, 2.5-liter turbocharged engine that puts out 227 horsepower, and that, by the way, is on 87 grade gasoline. That is, say, 87 octane rating gasoline, which is regular. You can get 250 horsepower out of the little 4 if you use 93 octane premium. Now, most premiums I encounter are 91, but there are some that serve up 93, so take your pick. 227 horsepower to me is fine, and 250 horsepower under almost all circumstances is simply not worth the currently gigantic premium that you pay for premium fuel. Then there's a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated engine. The styling of the Mazda 3 has not changed since its debut in the 2019 model year. Under the hood, though, the Canadian version has dropped the anemic 2-liter engine for 2024. It had just 155 horsepower. Mazda USA stopped offering it a year earlier. Although it's a compact, the Mazda 3 has excellent highway manners, a really smooth ride out here on the freeway, and very quiet until, of course, you hit the loud pedal. Like that. Mazda has always done a great job with its interior designs, and here in the Mazda 3 Sport, we have pretty much a typical Mazda interior, very European looking, really nice use of contrasting colors. This, what would you call it, burgundy or oxblood over black is a most attractive combination. At the top trim here, by the way, we have leather seats. They're heated, but they are not ventilated. Mazda also acknowledges the sports-minded driver with a nice simple gauge cluster in front, speedometer, tach, and then some gauges on the right for engine temperature and fuel, and that's about it. You can bring up menus for some information, but it's not like some cars that feel like you're trying to learn a new desktop computer at home. It's much simpler and more straightforward than that, and I like it. The layout of the controls in the Mazda 3 is exemplary. Other car makers could take a lesson, at least some of them. We have just enough hard buttons here. It all makes perfect sense. And shouldn't it be that way in every car? One thing you don't have in a Mazda is a touch screen. I don't really miss it. We have a control wheel here with all the necessary functions, and it works smoothly, seamlessly, gets the job done, and is not a distraction. Additionally, the volume knob is down here as well, right next to the control wheel. That makes a lot of sense. Of course, you do also have your typical steering wheel located controls as well. The Mazda 3 is still a lot of fun to drive, and the torque vectoring works very well in the corners. We have the all-wheel drive, and then the system adjusts the torque to individual wheels and helps you pull out of a corner quite nicely. Unfortunately, the Mazda 3 has thrown a fail code in our child seat test. Behind me, the kind that takes up the most space, a rear-facing child seat, and it is not getting in there. Up front, I'm 5 feet 11 inches tall, 180 centimeters. I've got the seat moved a long way up. It's actually a bit uncomfortable for me. My knees just barely clear the glove box door. So if you're going to put that larger child seat in the back, you're going to need a much shorter person than me up front. Oh, hello there. You may have noticed that the roof line of the Mazda 3 has an attractive slope to it heading toward the rear. However, it does seem to reduce rear passenger visibility just a bit. Also, headroom is only adequate for somebody of my height. Much taller than this, you're going to be hitting your head against the headliner. Now, we also have enough room, leg-wise at least, in the rear of the Mazda 3. That's the good news. The bad news is that, like some other Mazdas I've tested, if you want to fold the second row forward and you have people of, like my height, in the front seat, you're going to have to remove the headrests before the rear seats can fold all the way down. And that's kind of a shortcoming of Mazdas across the board. Additionally, we really have no niceties in the back seat. The rear seats are not heated, and there are no center vents as well. And nope, I don't see any USB ports either. Is this a family vehicle? And my frank assessment is yes, it's basically though for a one-child family. You're kind of short on space in some areas, and if you have more than one child, I would also suggest looking at some alternatives. But by that point, you're probably looking at SUVs anyway. That's our look at the Mazda 3. A good car, but frankly, I think it needs an update. What do you think? Leave a comment. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for liking, and thanks for subscribing. I'm Richard Detman, and I'll see you next time on Family Wheels.